Hey there, it is Dani Valent here with you for an occasional series that I do on Dirty Linen called Friday on My Mind. What is on my mind this Friday? Well, maybe even the whole week. It's been a busy week and that week is still going. I've been doing a lot of events. Last night I was the MC at a Fair Share event in collaboration with Voudemond. I'm an ambassador for Fair Share, which is a food charity. Fair Share grows food, rescues food and uses a volunteer workforce to cook it into meals for people who are doing it tough. And yeah, sadly, there is such a great need for that food and those nutritious meals. So it was great to be in a room with people who were like-minded and, put their hands in their pockets to raise some money for this great organisation. Fair Share recently merged with Second Bite. So, it increases the reach and opportunity to look after more people. So good to do that. Earlier in the week, I was in conversation with Hannah Asafiri. Hannah is the founder of Moroccan Soup Bar, which a lot of people in Melbourne would know for its delicious Moroccan food, especially the chickpea bake, which I can't even say those words and think about it without this vision swimming before my mind. Buttery shards of pitta, chickpeas, yogurt, spices, just an amazing combination of flavour, texture, comfort, love with every forkful. Very delicious. Hannah is an absolute force. She's written a memoir called The Audacity to Be Free. And she spoke, and I was, lucky enough to be there leading the conversation. She spoke about, some of the really difficult things she's endured in life, but she's used her own trauma and difficulty to create, so many different ways to empower other women, using that lived experience to be a force for good, particularly for Muslim women. But I think she's such an inspiring person for everyone. It was a really good example of, I suppose those two events are a really good example of the way food can be used as a force for change and a force for good. And, I always think, I love what I do, but I think I especially love it when it's explicit that food, connection and community can be used so purposefully. I love being part of that. I've got another event tonight, which is going to be really heartwarming and good. So it's the launch of Kebabi, which is Hamid Aliari's kebab place in Sunshine. I was a co-writer with Hamid on his book Salamati. He came from Iran to Australia as a refugee and has had a really long and difficult journey in creating a place for himself here in Australia. So we're celebrating a few things tonight. We're celebrating the opening of his new kebab shop. You should go. It's in the western suburbs of Melbourne and it's called Kebabi. Beautiful Persian food cooked over charcoal. We're celebrating, we never really did a book launch, so we're doing a little book launch even though the book's been out for 2 years. And we're celebrating Hamid's permanent residency. So after a lot of anguish and admin, he is now able to spend the rest of his life in Australia, should he so choose, and how lucky we are as a community that he's part of it. Beautiful food, beautiful person. Cannot wait to, MC this event tonight. So I've also been pounding the pavement in Clayton, leading food tours for the Clayton Traders Association and as part of Lunar New Year celebrations. This is so my jam. So I love doing the research, i.e. the eating, and having the conversations with the business owners, but to bring my research and, perhaps restaurants I've written about, to bring all that to life in a tour with actual live humans. Oh my goodness, so fun. So I took small groups of 8 people to 5 or 6 different restaurants along Clayton Road in Clayton. It was so much fun. Businesses loved it. People on the tours loved it. It was all about introducing people to new neighbourhoods and new cuisines. I just loved the moments of transformation. People were eating things they'd never eaten before, trying cuisines they'd never even heard of. So it was really, really great. Even I don't know, something like one of the trends I think is big in Australian dining now is dessert restaurants with a sort of Asian fusion skew. So that's thinking about shaved ice like kakigori, the Japanese version, or bingsu, the Korean version, which is what we did on this tour. Took some people to Bing Chillin, a really sweet bingsu place in Clayton. So shaved ice with different syrup flavors and toppings and inclusions. And it's really, they look great. They're fun. They're a little bit different. Lots of people hadn't tried them before. And yeah, it's just great to introduce people to a small business so that they can tell their friends, support that business and other versions of people doing similar things. Oh my goodness, it was so rich and lovely. I've had some great guests as we get back into the Dirty Linen 2025 season proper. I would love you to go back and listen to some of those conversations and, of course, stick with us for the whole year. But definitely listen to my chat with Dwayne Bannon-Harrison. He's been on the podcast before talking about Mirichamunja, his Indigenous food experiences pop-ups, and he's now taken on the role of Indigenous advisor with Trippus White Group, which is one of Australia's biggest caterers. In collaboration with Bangarra Dance Company, they're bringing an Indigenous menu to the Sydney Opera House in June. So exciting to have Indigenous flavours on such a big stage. And yeah, I'm really thrilled for Dwayne that he's just gone through quite a long journey to bring that to fruition. I'm really, really hoping that I can make it to Sydney for that. I think it will be really life-changing. Workplace culture is rightly a huge conversation. I find myself gravitating to businesses that are owned and run, managed by women, because I think it's so important that we have women in leadership positions in hospitality. It shouldn't be on women to create cultural change, but it so often falls to women to be the change that we all want to see. It's tricky conversations and sometimes, devastating and disappointing are definitely words that come to mind. But there are women doing amazing things, and I suppose I tend to want to highlight the positive. One really striking restaurant that I reviewed recently for The Age, Good Food, was a place in Ormond, southeastern suburb of Melbourne, called Namaste Haifa. This is a women-owned Indian restaurant doing food from Gujarat, a massive state in the northwest of India, which is really well known for its thalis. Thalis are like platters of different dal and usually vegetable dishes from that part of India, bread, different breads, and some chutneys and relishes, maybe some yogurt, maybe something sweet. So all sort of presented at once for you to eat your way through. Namaste Haifa does really cheap, simple, beautiful, often daily changing versions of thalis and lots of other dishes. But yeah, it's such a cool place owned by Mithal. I've forgotten her last name. Sorry, Mithal, but she's a queen. The food is all cooked by Indian mums, and yeah, you just can feel the joy in it and the belief that it's important. One thing that I've never seen before that happens there is that if you are menstruating or pregnant, you get a 15% discount. Amazing. I love that. Even to say the word menstruating seems kind of radical. Isn't that silly? But yeah, it's a lovely, humble restaurant. Check it out. Also went to a wonderful event by 3 women called Pane Avino, which is produced by Lorena Corso, who did a recent chat on Deep in the Weeds. So please seek that out. She's awesome. She's got an event series called Sicilian Smokeout, and alongside Michelle De Pietro from Abruzzo Lab and Daniela Majorano, who's in Byron Bay, they cooked a series of dishes over charcoal from southern Italy, Sicily, Abruzzo. And yeah, it was great to go to that. It was a really hot day. I was, hoping it wasn't going to be too hot, but found a spot in the shade and, just really yummy food. It was good. It was good. Love feeling that energy. I've been thinking about neighbourhoods and, I mentioned the Clayton food tours. That's a pretty vibrant neighbourhood compared to a lot of places I see around the suburbs of our cities. There are a lot of suburban streets with a lot of empty shops, and one of those in Melbourne has been Ackland Street. So it's really interesting to think about neighbourhoods and how they might revive. Ackland Street's in St Kilda. It's gone through lots of ups and downs. There's been some infrastructure on the street that's been quite perplexing for a lot of traders, closing down half the street, putting in a massive tram stop. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's a conundrum. But I wrote recently about Dawn and Mabel's, which is a new bar on that street, and I was chatting to one of the owners and he was saying, the rents on the street have halved over the past, from what they were a decade ago, they're now halved. And I think, interesting. Love to see a bit of landlord realism, and hopefully people standing next to each other wondering how they can revive a street or a neighbourhood for the good of all. That's for the landlords. Isn't it better to have someone in a business, not see it empty? Obviously, it's great for someone to have cheaper rent and they can perhaps, invest and give something a go. And of course, it's good for the residents and the visitors. That's kind of most of the things on my mind this Friday. I would like to say that I have grown about 4 snow peas. My garden is better than it used to be. My snow pea plants are looking pretty good. The crop is not abundant, but every snow pea is appreciated. I would like to share a snow pea with you all virtually. Thank you so much for listening to Dirty Linen. Really appreciate your time and all the great feedback that I get. If you like the podcast, give us a review wherever you are listening to it. I love your 5 stars. Also, sign up to our newsletter. So go to the website, deepintheweeds.com.au, sign up to our newsletter or via any of our socials. Listen to other pods across the network. We love bringing them to you. If you've got a great story, let me know as well. All right, over and out. Off to my Friday party at Kababi. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This